intelligent man there is free will, as far as activity in the human kingdom is concerned. Where no mind activity is present and where there is no power to discriminate, to analyze, and to choose, there is no free will. Within the vaster processes of the plan, however, as it includes the entire planetary evolution, there is, for the tiny unit, man, no free will. He is subject, for instance, to what we call acts of God, and before these he is helpless. He has no choice and no escape. Herein lies a hint upon the working of karma in the human kingdom. Karma and intelligent responsibility are inextricably woven and interwoven. As we close our discussion of the 3 steps of individualization, initiation, and identification, which mark the progress of the soul from identification with form until it loses itself and its own identity in the higher identification with the Absolute One, let us carry our thoughts forward to that point in time and space wherein the spiritual consciousness releases itself from all the categories of awareness and all differentiations, and from the final sense of selfhood, and merges itself in that sublime condition in which self-centeredness, as we understand it, disappears. We shall later consider the stages when the soul impelled thereto by its peculiar ray qualities appropriates to itself, for purposes of experience, those forms which can be expressive of, and responsive to, the many types of divine awareness. It should be noted here, therefore, that there are, literally, 2 points of identification in the long experience of the soul. One marks the state wherein form, matter, substance, time and space are controlling factors, and imprison the soul within their types of consciousness. This connotes identification with form life. The other connotes identification with all that lies outside of form expression and is released from it. What that may be lies beyond the grasp of our present advanced humanity, and is only known in its true significance by such great existences as the Christ, the Buddha and those of analogous rank in the hierarchy of lives. The qualities generated and developed through the first of these identifications persist and color the conscious realization, and it must be remembered that the final identification is the result of the experience gained through the medium of the first. These qualities will vary according to the dominance of one or other of the ray energies, but there will be in the final stages no consciousness of quality, or ray type, but simply a state of being or of livingness that realizes identification with the whole, and which, at the same time, holds in solution, if one may use so unsatisfactory a term, all the results of the lesser identifications. The various differentiations and distinctions, and the many ray instincts, impulses, and intuitions. The garnered and expressed qualities, and the possible actions, and reactions and awarenesses are equally eternally present and capable of requisition at will, but they are all held below the threshold of consciousness. Livingness, being, wholeness and unity are the distinctive characteristics of this highly evolved stage, which is, in its turn, the foundation for that higher evolutionary cycle of which we know nothing but which is hinted at in a treatise on cosmic fire and in all references to the 7 paths which open up before the adept of the 5th initiation. Absorption into the one life is the nature of this elevated state of consciousness. Freedom from all that is implied in the use of the words form and ego is the major characteristic, and, therefore, many ancient scriptures, when attempting to deal with and explain the supernormal and superlative condition, are forced back into the use of negatives, and the so-called doctrine of negation. Only by indicating what this state or condition of awareness is not, can any idea be conveyed of what it essentially is. The negations thus met with, and frequently misunderstood by the Occidental reader, are, therefore, the result of the futility and inadequacy of language to express the reality then known. After the major initiations are undergone, The state of consciousness of the illumined and liberated adept is such that language serves only to blind and to hinder true understanding. The consciousness of the initiate is of so lofty a nature that it can only be described in terms of release, of negation, and through the emphasis of that which it is not. It is a state of no thing and non-ego, for all egoic awareness is superseded by a state of being and of consciousness which is only capable of comprehension and expression when form life is of no further use to the perfected spiritual life. It is a state of non-individuality, yet with the subconscious knowledge and gains of the individual experience. The center of consciousness is so far removed from any individual separate identity, that particular factor has faded entirely out, and only the macrocosmic life is sentiently realized. It is a state of non-activity from our present angle of vision, because all individual reactions to the activity of matter or to that state of being, which we call egoic, have dropped away, and life and mind can no longer be swept into motion by any of the factors which have hitherto produced what we have called soul activity and form existence. Nevertheless, though the consciousness is other than all that has been hitherto known, and though it can only be expressed in terms of negation, the truth must be borne constantly in mind that the greater awareness must always include the lesser awarenesses. Consequently, all possible actions and reactions, identifications and focusings, awarenesses and contacts, ray impulses, approaches and withdrawals, and all possible expressions of the divine activity, and qualities, phenomenal and non-phenomenal, are included in the state of being which is now the natural state of the liberated and enlightened spiritual existence. All are possible of recovery through the will or in response to a need, but the spiritual being is no longer held by them or identified with them. Each of the stages on the great path of liberation, or enlightenment with which we have been concerned, individualization, initiation and identification, have led the life, or the spiritual, interior man, from point to point, from quality to quality, from realization to realization, from phenomenal appearance to spiritual living, from physical awareness to sentient, emotional awareness, and from that to mental differentiation and separateness. He has been carried from hell to heaven, from heaven to nirvana, from the life conditioning of the personal ego to that of the group soul, and thence to that of the liberated state of pure intuitional life. He has passed from form experience as a whole to that complete freedom from all vibratory impressions which it is the nature of pure being, divorced from phenomenal existence, to demonstrate. But at the same time, nothing is lost of capacity, or quality or of sentient awareness. This is beautifully expressed for us in the words of the old commentary, found in the archives of the masters. The quality of life fades out. It flickers and is gone. Yet the blessed ones reveal at will that quality. The color pure remains. The nature of life in form fails to appear. It flashes forth a little while, then disappears. The blessed ones, at will, can take a form, yet are not then the form. The seven great rays sweep into manifested life. They are, and then are not. All is, and all is not. But the blessed ones at any time can sweep forth into manifested light. They carry then the potencies of spirit, to meet the need expressed. Light holds them not. Their purpose is not imprisoned. Their will is not subdued. They appear and disappear at will. An expression of the truth of this can be seen demonstrating in the world each full moon of May, when the Buddha flashes forth into manifestation, for the fulfillment of the plan and at the urgent behest of his own spiritual will. Naught holds the blessed ones. Neither the deities nor form. Neither desire nor mind. Nor any quality of life. Pure life they are. Pure being and pure will. Pure love and pure intent. This is all that unenlightened man can grasp, and only that in part. The blessed ones are not, and yet they are. The blessed ones know not, and yet know all. The blessed ones love not, yet offer love divine. The blessed ones remember not, yet all is recollection. The blessed ones remain in isolation pure, and yet at will can take a form. The blessed ones dwell ever in the high and lofty place, yet oft can walk on earth in light phenomenal. The blessed ones manifest not through form, yet are all forms and all intents. Then the old commentary runs through what would constitute many pages of writing, showing that the blessed ones are not and yet are all there is. That they possess nothing and yet are in themselves the expression of all reality. That they dwell nowhere and yet are found everywhere. That they have faded out, and yet are shining in full radiance and can be seen. Negation after negation is piled up, only promptly to be contradicted in an effort to show how divorced from, and yet inclusive of, form is the life of the blessed ones. It ends with the wonderful injunction. Therefore be full of joy, O pilgrim on the way towards enlightened being, for gain and loss are one. Darkness and light eternally reveal the true. Love and desire eternally invoke the life. Naught disappears but pain. Nothing remains but bliss, the bliss of knowledge true, of contact real, of light divine, the way to God. Such is the true goal, as yet unrealizable by us. What is it that we are endeavoring to do? We are treading the way of release, and on that way, all drops from our hands. Everything is taken away, and detachment from the world of phenomenal life and of individuality is inevitably forced upon us. We are treading the way of loneliness, and must learn eventually that we are essentially neither ego nor non-ego. Complete detachment and discrimination must finally lead us to a condition of such complete aloneness, that the horror of the great blackness will settle down upon us. But when that pall of blackness is lifted and the light again pours in, the disciple sees that all that was grasped and treasured, and then lost and removed, has been restored, but with this difference that it no longer holds the life imprisoned by desire. We are treading the way that leads to the mountaintop of isolation, and will find it full of terror. Upon that mountaintop we must fight the final battle with the dweller on the threshold, only to find that that too is an illusion. That high point of isolation, and the battle itself are only illusions and figments of unreality. They are the last stronghold of the ancient glamour, and of the great heresy of separateness. Then we, the beatific ones, will eventually find ourselves merged with all that is, in love and understanding. The isolation, a necessary stage, is itself but an illusion. We are treading the way of purification, and step by step all that we cherish is removed, lust for form life, desire for love, and the great glamour of hatred. These disappear and we stand purified and empty. The distress of emptiness is the immediate result. It grips us and we feel that the price of holiness is too high. But, standing on the way, suddenly the whole being is flooded with light and love, and the emptiness is seen as constituting that through which light and love may flow to a needy world. The purified one can dwell then in that place where dwell the blessed lords, and from that place go forth to illumine the world of men and of the deities. There are 4 ways, which stretch